If you've been feeling triggered, overwhelmed, or disconnected in your relationships lately, you're not doing anything wrong. You are awakening even more on your spiritual path. It's really interesting. Sometimes those closest to us can trigger us the most. And triggers are really great spiritual teachers because they come in all forms. They can come as a significant other, a parent, a child, a best friend, and they can really come in and really wake us up and shake us up even more to these old identities that we used to hang on to these old unconscious patterns. And while we hold on to those old parts of our identity and old parts of ego, we begin to realize that they no longer serve us in where we are trying to go vibrationally and with our frequency. And many times we are being told to respond, not react in these certain situations. But when it's somebody that we're close to or that we see literally on a daily basis, it's really hard to not react to the stimuli that is happening on the outside of us. And I still kind of go through that even on my own journey because I have to consistently remind myself to respond and not react. And when we see these kind of unconscious patterns come into play and move through us, we have an option of whether or not we are going to respond in the situation or if we are going to move through it and react like how we always have through these unconscious patterns that come into play. And so when we have this option, a lot of times it's easier said than done because I'm like, well, okay, well, I need some valuable, solutions to this. I need ways to be able to cope with when this kind of comes up. And I've gotten to a point on my spiritual evolution to where when my trigger, when somebody is triggering me that's kind of close to me in my life, it really shows up. Like I feel it bubbling up in my body to the point that I start to get to a point to where I have a last second decision to make of whether or not I'm going to respond to the stimuli in a unconscious pattern way or in a more evolved way. And I have that option in that split second of how I'm going to move in the situation. How am I going to now, as an evolved, becoming more of an evolved being with a higher frequency and vibration, how are you going to react in these situations? Are you going to react? How are you going to be? And we have to remember that when we react in these situations, it's a lot of times deep, unhealed wounds within us from childhood, from family lines, from ancestral lines, from past lives, what have you. You have these ingrained in you. And so when we wake up, it is our responsibility of how we are going to handle this going forward. Because when you wake up, you no longer can be somebody who can hold on to the past, hold on to these old identities, hold on to the ego. You really have to begin to let those things go. And with coming to let those go, also the triggers that kind of come up. And so you really have to start going within and looking at these triggers that you have. Do we have these feelings of abandonment, rejection, worthlessness, and how is that showing up when you're being triggered, right? Because yes, it can be the spouse that's annoying you. And it can really show up as a teen that's rebelling against mom because mom was controlling in the relationship and told you to clean your room all the time, right? So now as an adult, you're triggering me because you remind me of my mom. You remind me of somebody who now has to you're telling me to go clean my room. You're telling me I have to do this and that. You're not my mom. I'm an adult now. And so you see these deep wounds kind of coming up for you. And what is that for you? Like when you're getting triggered, what is that kind of showing up with you as, right? You know, when children are, like a child who's constantly complaining and crying, and that parent that gets really irritated with that, for example, that parent that gets triggered by that is because when they were a child and they were crying and they were complaining, they were in trouble for that, right? They were getting spanked for that. They were getting grounded for that. And so you feel that kind of come up because you're like telling that child, please quit complaining, quit crying. Like, what can I do to like make you stop? Like, you're really irritating me because I'm about to explode, because if I explode, like, then we're both going to get in trouble by mom and dad. Do you know what I mean? So it's like these kind of really deep rooted things within you. You have to realize why you're being triggered. Did somebody talk to you in a certain way? Like I used to be super triggered by that. Like people would come in and like talk to me a certain way. And I'm like, what happened to manners? What happened to yes? Like, yes, what happened to thank you and please and those kind of things. And, you know, and that was my perception of the world, that people were rude. And so that would manifest into my life even more. And those triggers would be so deep within me because when, I was a kid, I was talked to like I was nobody. It made me feel worthless. And so, you are coming into my adult life and you're talking to me the way my parents used to talk to me or other adults in my life used to talk to me. And I'm no longer a child. You can no longer be rude to me. And so we have to really navigate through that. And we have to say, we can't no longer be a victim anymore. We can't say that's just because my parents did that and parents did that, like I used in these examples. We really have to start to figure this out. Like I said, we're alchemists. We're so powerful. And we have to begin the alchemization process within our body. And we have to say, this trigger's coming in. How can I alchemize this and turn this into something more, I would say positive, but how can I respond in a different way? How can I act in a certain way? What do I need to do in order to move through this, right? What is this trying to show me about myself? And these are the ways that you can dive deep within yourself to truly kind of figure it out. And what's interesting is I keep saying we're alchemists, right? And we can move through that. So when we are a powerful co-creator, what we are dealing with on the inside is a direct reflection of what is happening in our outside reality. And we can go back to these examples, and I'll use the most recent one about people being rude to me, right? Well, that's a pattern that I have not dealt with, right? And I have not let go of this old stories, old beliefs about people are rude and they don't say yes and please and thank you anymore. And, they can be just acting in their own worlds and selfish and what have you. And so what you can do is then you can say, okay, well, that's something that's within me that I still need to figure out. I still need to dive deep within myself and figure it out. Instead of just saying the world's gone to a cruel place, nobody knows how to act anymore. What happened to the good old days when people were nice to each other? Because obviously I'm not nice to myself on the inside, and I'm not treating myself well on the inside. So it's becoming a direct reflection on the outside, right? I feel worthless on the inside. So it's going to reflect to me in my reality and showing me things that I need to work on within myself. So that's how you're going to begin to look into how reality is, because if we are a powerful co-creator, then what we see on the outside is a direct reflection of what we have created, whether you are conscious of that or not. So we can begin to realize, okay, well, I hear what you're saying. How can I kind of work through this, right? A good thing to do when you are kind of going through this and you feel the trigger kind of coming on is literally breathe for 90 seconds. I don't care what the outside world's saying. I don't care what the stimuli is saying that's being directed back at you. Take a time out, breathe for 90 seconds, clear your mind, and then you can respond. So that's like a really good thing that you can do. Another good thing is, and I'm always going to say this because I'm a true firm believer in this, is to journal. Journal those thoughts down. Journal this, like do a lot of the mirror work, right? Where these people are a direct reflection of you. So now we can take that and be like, oh, okay, so and so rejected my proposal today from work. Okay, I didn't like that. It made me feel really bad. It made me feel worthless. It gave me anxiety. I felt like this and that. And then dive deeper into that. Go back to your childhood. When did you feel that within your childhood? Okay. And then we can start to get to the bottom of what it was that was truly triggering you and how you can kind of start to overcome that. Okay, because once you know the trigger and you are consciously aware of that, then you can start to move through it and cultivate a way and alchemize a way to then respond, right? And we can then go dive deeper into meditation, for example, and dive deeper into those issues and find ways to kind of even more deeply move through that and let go of what it is that is no longer serving you from those times. At one point, those beliefs were instilled in you, those unconscious patterns were instilled in you, and now it's time to kind of move past that. And realizing that when we are able to do that, we are able to then create stronger boundaries within ourselves. We are able to step away from situations that are no longer serving us. We are then able to become stronger because we are alchemizing our body to respond differently. And when we do that, then the inner part of us can directly reflect in the outside world something different for us. And all of a sudden people are nicer to us. All of a sudden, I don't get, when somebody rejects an idea, I don't feel that way. Instead, my gears begin to turn and I think of a way to redirect the proposal, or even better yet, find a situation where somebody would accept my proposal in a work situation. So when we're able to detach from all of that, we realize we're no longer controlled by the past self of us, by the ego, by the mind. We're no longer controlled by that. And we can begin to move forward into something that's better for us, to hold our ground more, to have those firm boundaries, to be extremely in our power, and to hold that and to be firm in who we are. Because we're no longer able to operate in these lower vibrational feelings anymore. We need to move through this and start operating as this new human on new earth, right? We can all feel it right now. There's a big shift happening, and there's old earth and there's new earth. And which earth do you want to be a part of? Which earth do you want to cultivate a new reality for yourself, where you know you're a co-creator, where you know you're strong, and you know you have these great ways and methods to move through and to alchemize yourself and to be able to create a reality that you truly want. So my friends, if you found this video to be helpful, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.